The rain was coming down in sheets, blurring the edges of the quiet suburban neighborhood in Evergreen, Colorado. Emily Dawson slammed her car door shut and sprinted toward her front porch, heels splashing through puddles. Her business trip had ended a day early, and all she wanted was to get back to her 11-year-old son, Noah, and curl up on the couch. But something was wrong. The porch light was off. The house was completely dark, and standing right at the front door, blocking her path, was Rex, Noah's German shepherd. His fur was soaked and stained red. Emily froze. Rex stared at her with those intelligent, unblinking eyes, body tense, as if every nerve in him was alert to danger. The blood on his coat wasn't dry yet. It dripped onto the doormat. His collar was half torn, like someone had tried to rip it off. Emily's breath caught. "Where's Noah?" Rex let out a low growl, not at her, but at something behind the door. Emily's hand shook as she reached for the handle. The door wasn't locked. She pushed it open slowly. The house smelled like metal and wet earth, something sharp in the air. She stepped in. The living room was untouched. So was the kitchen. But there, on the hardwood floor, was a trail. Smears of blood. A child-size sneaker. One blue sock soaked in red. Leading down the hallway. Emily's voice cracked. "Noah?" Nothing. She ran. Rex darted ahead of her, growling at every shadow. The trail led straight to Noah's bedroom. His bed was empty. The comforter had been dragged to the floor. His phone was still on the nightstand, screen cracked. On the pillow, written in what looked like a marker, red or maybe blood, was one word: Spectre. Emily staggered back, heart pounding so loud she couldn't hear herself scream. Rex barked, loud, urgent. He darted toward the back of the house, toward the sliding glass doors that led into the yard. Emily followed, barefoot now, barely noticing the glass shards she stepped on. Outside, the storm had turned the backyard into a muddy mess. Rex darted past the swing set, skidding to a stop near the old tool shed. Then he did something Emily had never seen him do. He started digging. Fast. Violent. Throwing mud behind him like he was trying to break through to hell. Emily rushed over. "What are you doing? What are you—" Her voice died when she saw it. A trap door, covered in years of dirt, grass roots, and plywood. She'd lived here 7 years and had never known it was there. Rex stood back, panting, his tail stiff. He stared at her like he was waiting for her to open it. She dropped to her knees, yanked the handle, and pulled. Beneath the trap door was a narrow shaft leading down, wooden steps, and the faint, sterile smell of bleach. She turned to Rex. "You're not just a pet, are you?" The dog didn't blink. She grabbed a flashlight from the shed, turned it on, and descended. Every step creaked. The air grew colder. Her light caught on metal walls. Concrete floor. A single chair in the middle of the room, bolted down. Chains. Emily stumbled forward and froze when she saw what was taped to the wall. A photo. Noah. And beside him, a younger version of Rex. Same markings, same eyes, wearing a military K9 harness. The caption under the photo, K9201. Her hands trembled as she reached for it. Behind the photo, a safe. Small. Digital keypad. She turned to Rex. He was staring at the keypad, and then slowly he lifted his paw and placed it against the floor beside it, where a faint indentation in the cement formed the shape of a paw print. Recognition code. Her mouth went dry. Rex wasn't just a family dog. He had been trained, embedded, hidden. The safe clicked open. Inside, files, dozens, each stamped. Project Spectre, and a USB. A noise behind her made her spin. Rex growled. From the top of the stairs, a silhouette stood in the frame. Female, leather jacket, no face visible, but on the back of her neck, just below her ear, the light from Emily's flashlight caught something. A tattoo. A phoenix. Burning. Then the trapdoor slammed shut. Emily pounded on the trapdoor with both fists, screaming for help, but her voice was swallowed by the storm above. Rex barked furiously beside her, lunging at the closed ceiling, claws scraping wood. Then silence. Not from Rex. From above. Whoever that woman was, she didn't speak. Didn't move. Just vanished. Emily grabbed the USB and jammed it into her jacket pocket. She took one last look at the metal room, at the photo of Noah, at the files, and whispered, "I'll come back for all of this." She and Rex raced up the stairs. The trapdoor didn't budge. Rex circled her, whining low in his throat. Then, without warning, he leapt up, his weight slamming against the underside of the trapdoor like a battering ram. Crack! Emily joined him, slamming her shoulder upward, again. With a final creak and snap, the door burst open. Cold rain poured in. No one was there. Emily grabbed Rex's collar, and they sprinted inside. She slammed the house door shut and locked every bolt. Then she grabbed her phone. Noah's emergency contact list had one name she swore she'd never call again. Daniel Carter. She stared at it for a full 5 seconds before pressing it. He answered on the second ring. "Emily?" She couldn't hold it together. "They took him. They took Noah. I don't know who they are, but they left blood and a symbol and... Daniel, I need you." There was a pause. Then, "Where are you?" "Home. But I don't know how safe. I'm 15 minutes out. Don't open the door for anyone but me." He hung up. Rex stared at her, his head tilted. Then he walked over to the window and sat, watching the street. Exactly 14 minutes later, headlights appeared through the rain. Rex didn't growl. Emily opened the door. Daniel hadn't changed much. Same military-cut hair, same sharp grey eyes. But the years had carved lines into his face, and the badge on his belt said he wasn't DEA anymore. Without a word, he pulled her into a hug. Emily stiffened, then let herself fall into it. For 3 seconds. Then she stepped back. "You said you quit." "I did." "Then why do you still carry the badge?" He looked at her. "Because there are some things you don't just walk away from." Rex stood between them, eyes flicking from one to the other. Then he nudged Daniel's leg. Once. Hard. Daniel knelt. "You remember me, huh?" Rex licked his hand, but not like a dog greeting an old friend. It was formal, almost like a soldier acknowledging a command. Emily saw it too. Her voice dropped. "What the hell is going on with this dog?" Daniel stood slowly. "That's not just a dog. That's a ghost. K9201, one of the last K9s from the Spectre Initiative." Emily blinked. "That's the second time I've heard that name today. What is it?" Daniel hesitated, then walked to the kitchen, grabbed a pen, and wrote the word Spectre on a napkin. He flipped it around, underlined the second E, and circled the T. Specialized Covert Program, funded off books after 9/11. They used enhanced K9s, trained with biometric scent imprinting, micro-response to visual cues, even rudimentary facial recognition. Rex here, he was one of the best, until the program got shut down. Emily folded her arms. "So how the hell did he end up with my son?" Daniel didn't answer right away. "Where's Noah's dad?" "You know the answer to that." Daniel winced. "Sorry, that wasn't fair." She didn't flinch. "No, it wasn't." Rex barked once, loud, and charged down the hall. Emily and Daniel followed. He led them back into Noah's room. Daniel scanned the place like a crime scene. His eyes landed on the red word scrawled across the pillow. Spectre. "I've seen that handwriting before," he muttered. He pulled out his phone and snapped a picture. Emily leaned against the doorway, arms crossed tight over her chest. "So now what?" Daniel crouched, running his fingers under the mattress. Then he reached into the vent behind the headboard and pulled out a burner phone. The battery had been ripped out, but etched inside the casing, in childlike handwriting, were 3 letters. M-A-X. Emily's stomach turned. "Noah named the dog, but are you telling me Rex, Max, was placed with us?" Daniel nodded. "Spectre dogs were never randomly rehomed. Someone made sure he ended up here." Rex growled again. Emily turned. Rex was facing the window. Hackles raised, teeth bared. In the yard, through the rain, a figure stood. Same height, same build, leather jacket. But it wasn't the same woman. This one had something in her hand, a phone. It lit up, then buzzed. Emily's phone rang. "Unknown number," she answered on speaker. A voice, distorted, low, female, said only one sentence. "If you want your son to live, do not trust the man standing in your kitchen." The call ended. Rex turned to Daniel and growled. Deep. Threatening. Emily's eyes locked on his. "What aren't you telling me?" Daniel didn't flinch, but he didn't answer. Rex's growl filled the hallway like a warning siren. Emily stepped back instinctively, her body torn between the man she used to love and the dog who had never lied to her. Daniel raised his hand slowly. "He's reacting to the voice on the phone, not me." Rex didn't back down. Emily stepped between them, heart racing. "Then prove it. Tell me everything, now." Daniel exhaled hard. "You remember my last op before I quit? The one in El Paso? You said it went sideways. You said civilians got caught in crossfire. That's what they told the press. The truth is, Spectre agents were being used as ghost operatives, disavowed, deployed without oversight. It stopped being about defense, started being about control. And you? I refused to follow an order, the kind you don't come back from." Emily stared at him. "That voice on the phone knew your name. Not just my name. My file." Rex's ears twitched. He turned from Daniel, trotted to the sliding door, and sat, nose against the glass. Daniel glanced at Emily. "He's got something." They followed. Rex sniffed the air, then darted outside into the pouring rain. His paws kicked up mud as he circled the yard, nose to the ground. Suddenly he stopped, growled, then began digging. Emily rushed over. "It's the same place as before." But this time, Rex wasn't unearthing a trap door. He was digging up a box. Metal. Padlocked. Daniel wiped it off, knelt, and popped it open with his utility knife. Inside, a flash drive, a folded photo, and a sealed envelope. Emily reached for the photo. It was old. Faded. A group of men in tactical gear. Smiling. In the center, her brother James. And next to him, unmistakable even years younger, was Daniel. Emily's voice cracked. "You told me you didn't know him well." Daniel looked at the ground. "I lied. You were in the same unit. I trained him. He was Spectre's first cross-unit operative. We called him Falcon. He was the one who got Rex." She stepped back. "You said James died in a mission gone wrong. Was that a lie too?" "No. But the mission was Spectre's doing. We weren't supposed to survive. James did, barely. But after what he saw, he tried to walk away. They made sure he didn't." Emily's hands shook as she opened the envelope. It was a handwritten note. One line. "If you're reading this, they've found Noah. Get him out. Trust Rex. The signature was shaky. James. Emily pressed the note to her chest. Her legs nearly gave out. Rex moved closer, pressing against her side, grounding her. Daniel inserted the flash drive into his laptop. A file opened. Encrypted video footage. The timestamp. 2 days ago. The image. Noah, strapped to a chair in a small room, blinking slowly. A woman's voice off-screen asked, "Do you remember what the symbol means?" Noah shook his head. "You're not real." The voice replied, calm and cold. "We made you real." The feed cut off. Emily's scream caught in her throat. Daniel yanked the drive. "We have to move, now!" "Where?" "The woman in the video? I've heard that voice before. She was part of Black Team, Spectre's surgical unit. They went dark after the program collapsed." "And she has my son?" "She's not working alone, which means we're running out of time." Emily's eyes burned. "Why Noah?" Daniel didn't answer. Emily stepped in front of him. "Tell me." He looked at Rex, then said quietly, "Because your brother volunteered you both into the gene trial, you and Noah were tagged, long before any of this started." Emily staggered. "What?" "They used DNA markers, neural patterning. James tried to erase your files, but someone kept them. When Rex came to your home, it wasn't by accident. It was to watch, to protect." Emily looked down at Rex. He met her gaze without flinching. A soldier, not a pet. Daniel zipped the laptop. "There's a place I know. Off-grid. If they're monitoring traffic, we can't use roads. But we need help. There's one person I trust." Emily raised an eyebrow. "Another ghost?" "Something like that." Before she could press further, Rex growled and lunged toward the fence. 3 red laser dots danced across the ground. Daniel shoved Emily down just as the first shot shattered the kitchen window. Rex bolted, zigzagging through the yard. A bullet clipped the fence post behind him. "Get to the truck!" Daniel shouted. Rex circled, barking to distract. One of the shooters stepped out, a tall man in all black, night vision gear. Rex didn't wait. He charged. The man raised his rifle. Too slow. Rex leapt, teeth latching onto the attacker's arm, dragging him down hard. Daniel fired once, clean to the chest. Another shot cracked the air from the tree line. Rex yelped. Emily screamed, but he was already up again, limping but moving, staying between her and the danger. Daniel hauled her into the truck. Rex jumped into the back seat, blood streaking the upholstery. Tires screamed as they sped into the night. Emily didn't look back. She looked at Rex, panting, bleeding, but alive. And in that moment, she understood. This wasn't just about Spectre. This was a war, and Rex was the only one who'd been fighting it since the beginning. The safe house sat camouflaged beneath a sheet of rock and pine, deep in the San Juan forest. Daniel punched in a sequence on the rusted keypad beside the concealed entrance, then glanced back at Emily. "You sure about this?" he asked. She didn't answer. She was holding Rex's blood-matted fur, whispering softly to keep him calm. Inside, the walls were lined with steel-reinforced panels and racks of gear. A cot in the corner, satellite phone, a laptop with no brand. The air was dry and cold, but the place felt untouched by time. Daniel opened a medical kit. "We patch Rex first." Emily nodded, biting down the panic in her chest. She held Rex still while Daniel sterilized the wound in his flank. Rex barely flinched. His eyes never left the door. "He took that round for me," Emily said, her voice low. "He didn't hesitate." "He was trained not to." "No," she snapped. "He chose not to." Daniel didn't argue. Rex leaned against her when the bandaging was done, his breathing slower but steady. Daniel powered up the laptop. "There's someone I want you to meet." The screen flickered to life. A woman's face appeared. Sharp eyes, close-cropped curls, no smile. "Still breathing, Carter?" she said. "Nice to hear from you too, Reagan." Emily stepped into view. Reagan's eyes narrowed. "Is this her?" "This is Emily Dawson, James's sister, Noah's mother." Reagan's tone shifted instantly. "Then you need to listen to me very carefully. Spectre isn't just back. It's evolved, smarter, dirtier, and if they've taken Noah, it's not just for leverage." Emily's heart dropped. "Then for what?" Reagan paused. "You ever hear of S projects? S093? Emily blinked. Daniel leaned forward. "James mentioned it in his last field memo. Off record. Something about neural imprinting using miners as templates, but he never elaborated." Reagan's face tightened. "Because he found out they were using his DNA." Emily's knees nearly gave out. She sat hard. "Noah he's connected to this?" Reagan nodded. "They wanted soldiers who didn't break under pressure, who could be programmed without wiping identity. Noah's bloodline? It's rare. James tried to shield both of you, sent Rex as a sleeper, but once your file resurfaced..." Daniel finished her sentence. "They came for the boy," Reagan continued. "I've been tracking activity. There's a cell moving through Utah. Off-grid transport. You want your son back, you go there." Daniel typed furiously. "Send coordinates." Reagan's screen went static, then black. Daniel froze. "That wasn't a disconnect. That was a kill command." Emily stood. "They found her?" "No," Daniel said, already moving, yanking gear off the wall. "They found us. She was rerouting their trace back to this IP to buy us seconds." Rex growled. The steel door shuddered. 1 second later, an explosion tore it off its hinges. Emily hit the floor. Daniel covered her body with his, gun drawn. Rex was already moving. From the smoke emerged 3 shadows. Armed, silent. Rex leapt at the first one, teeth locked on his arm. The man screamed as Rex yanked him down. Daniel fired at the second. Missed. The man fired back. The round missed Emily by inches. Emily scrambled behind the desk, grabbed a wrench and swung hard when the third attacker came around the side. She caught his knee. He went down, cursing. Rex finished the first one, jaws slick with blood, then pivoted toward the next. Daniel dropped the second with a clean shot to the throat. The third scrambled for a detonator. Rex lunged again. Too late. The detonator clicked. Nothing happened. Daniel stood over him. "You were saying?" He kicked the device out of the man's hand. Rex snarled, standing over the would-be bomber's chest. Emily stood, panting. "That was a kill team." Daniel nodded. "Trained Spectre style. Close quarters, no words, no mercy." He stared at the wrecked doorway. "They were supposed to level this place. Turn it into a burn site." Emily looked at the detonator. "Why didn't it go off?" Daniel knelt. Failsafe keyed to audio signature. They expected Reagan's voice. Got mine instead. Rex moved to the laptop, pawed at the hard drive. Daniel took the hint. He yanked it free. They piled into the truck. Rex curled in the back seat again, tail thumping weakly. As they sped off, Emily finally asked, "What happens in Utah?" Daniel answered without looking at her. "A chance to cut off the head before it disappears again." "And if it's a trap?" Daniel glanced at Rex in the mirror. "Then we let the wolf off the leash." Rex looked straight into the glass and didn't blink. The Utah desert didn't forgive mistakes. They parked a mile out from the GPS ping Reagan had embedded in her last message. Daniel tossed sand-colored tarps over the vehicle, masking it against the landscape. Emily shielded her eyes against the wind, staring out across the barren stretch of flatland. "Nothing out here?" she said. "That's the point." Daniel replied. Spectre used to build below nothing, buried beneath silence. Rex sniffed the air, ears forward. No barking, just quiet precision. He turned northwest and took off at a steady lope. They followed him on foot, trekking over cracked stone and into a shallow ravine. Hidden among the brush was an old cattle fence. Beyond it, a half-collapsed barn and a rusting silo that looked like it hadn't held grain in 50 years. Rex froze at the edge, then moved in fast, circling the structure's perimeter. Daniel drew his weapon. We're close. Inside the barn, it was darker than it should have been. Emily's boots crunched on dirt mixed with something else. Fine white powder. She crouched down, rubbed it between her fingers. Lime, she said. Why cover the floor with lime? Daniel scanned the walls. To hide the smell. Rex snarled. Emily turned. He was staring at a far corner where hay bales had been stacked to the roof. Daniel moved fast, yanked the bales down. A steel trap-door glinted beneath. Always under, he muttered. Rex waited as Daniel cracked the seal. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase descending into cold, stale air. As they reached the bottom, the room opened into a concrete hallway. Walls lined with LED strips and thick pipes. Then came the sound. A child's cry. Emily froze. Noah! She ran. Daniel cursed and followed. Rex tore past them both, claws scraping the floor. They reached a large chamber, windows one-way mirrored, medical equipment humming. Inside one of the rooms, 4 children sat on cots, dazed. One of them, Noah. Emily slammed her fists against the glass. Noah! He blinked, slow recognition flooding his face. Mom! The door hissed behind them. Footsteps. 3 armed guards. No insignia. No warning. Daniel fired first. The hallway exploded into chaos. Emily ducked behind a pillar. Rex darted wide, flanking one of the guards, then lunged with terrifying speed, dragging the man down by his wrist. Blood sprayed. Daniel took down the second with a double tap to the chest. The third raised his weapon, about to fire at Emily, when a deafening screech blasted through the intercom. Everyone froze. The guard clutched his ears, staggering. Rex didn't. He leapt and slammed the man into the wall. Silence returned. Emily ran to the control panel. The locks were coded, biometric. Daniel pushed her aside. I've seen this system. It's not Spectre standard. It's aftermarket black market tech. But there's always a fail-safe. He pulled a small device from his vest, Reagan's override key, plugged it in. The doors hissed open. Noah stumbled forward. Emily dropped to her knees and caught him in her arms. His body shook, skin clammy. They made me watch things, he whispered. Made me remember stuff that never happened. Rex stepped forward, pressed his head into Noah's shoulder. The boy clung to him. Rex didn't let them in, he said. He was the only one they were afraid of. Daniel checked the other kids. All alive. Drugged, but conscious. Suddenly, a soft chime echoed through the hallway. Daniel looked up. The lights shifted red. You triggered something, he said. Time's up. Emily grabbed Noah's hand. They ran. Rex herded the other kids ahead, growling at every corridor junction, as if guiding them through a maze he already knew. Back in the barn, Daniel pulled a hidden latch. A side wall gave way to a buried vehicle bay. An armored SUV sat beneath camo netting. They loaded everyone in. Daniel took the wheel. Once we hit the road, someone's going to know. Emily held Noah tight. We need to disappear. No, Daniel said. We need to make them show themselves. Rex sat upright in the back, eyes fixed out the window. As the sun dipped below the desert hills, he growled low, one sharp breath of warning. Behind them, far in the distance, headlights flared. And then a second set. Then a third. They weren't out yet. They were being followed. And the real game had just begun. The SUV tore down the desert back road, dust rising in thick clouds behind them. Daniel gripped the wheel tight, eyes scanning the side mirrors. 3 blacked-out vehicles were gaining fast, headlights slicing through the twilight. "We're not outrunning them," he said. Emily clutched Noah in the back seat, voice sharp. "Then we stop running. We're not equipped for that kind of standoff." Rex let out a low, rumbling growl from the rear compartment. He stood, bracing himself as the vehicle hit a rut, and stared at Daniel through the mirror. Noah whispered, "He knows what to do." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Yeah, I bet he does." He veered off the main track, cutting sharply into a dried riverbed. The vehicle bounced hard. One of the kids in the back groaned. "We need cover," Emily said. "Already got it." Daniel slammed the brakes and jerked the wheel. The SUV slid to a stop behind a rocky outcrop, natural cover from the approaching vehicles. He popped the back hatch. "Get the kids into that gully. Stay low. Don't move unless I say." Emily helped the children down, rushing them toward the narrow ravine. Noah hesitated. Rex didn't. He followed, flanking the group like a silent sentinel. Daniel grabbed a shortwave transmitter from the dash and clipped it to his vest. "I'll draw them off. They won't expect you to split." "No," Emily said firmly. "We do this together." Before Daniel could argue, Rex trotted back. In his mouth, a small pouch. Canvas. Military issued. Daniel took it, opened it, stared inside. C4. Enough to crack open a building. Rex stared at him with chilling calm. Emily's voice caught. "He was trained for demolition?" "More than that," Daniel murmured. "He was trained to lead ops, autonomously." Suddenly, over the horizon, headlights appeared again, closer now, engines revved. Emily turned to Rex. "You have something in mind?" Rex moved. Not a bark, not a command, just motion. Fast and precise. He darted up the ridge, disappearing into the rocks. Daniel watched the blip on his screen, a micro-tracker embedded in Rex's collar. "He's circling." "What's he planning?" Emily asked. Daniel loaded his sidearm. "A trap." The enemy vehicles screeched to a halt near the outcrop. Men poured out, not mercs. Trained, uniformed, no markings. Their leader stepped forward. A woman. Black tactical gear, blonde braid, eyes sharp as razors. Emily froze. "That's her, the one from the trap door." The woman raised a bullhorn. "You have the child. We want the dog." Emily stiffened. "They're not after Noah." "No," Daniel said. "They're after Rex." Suddenly, one of the vehicles exploded. The shockwave sent soldiers flying. Rex emerged from the smoke, low, fast, precise, zigzagging through the chaos. Another boom. The second SUV flipped, flames licking the side. Screams echoed across the canyon. The woman didn't flinch. She raised a pistol and fired. The bullet clipped Rex's side. Emily screamed, but Rex didn't go down. He vanished behind the rocks, bleeding but silent. Daniel moved. "Cover me." He popped smoke grenades and sprinted through the haze. Gunfire cracked behind him. He reached Rex's last position. Blood on the dirt. But no body. Then, behind him, a snarl. Rex launched from above, tackling a soldier mid-stride. Daniel caught the next attacker, disarming and dropping him with a single strike. Emily herded the kids deeper into the ravine, shielding them with her body. The gunfire slowed, then stopped. When the dust cleared, 6 bodies lay on the ridge. The woman was gone. Daniel knelt beside Rex, who was panting hard, front leg grazed but still standing. Emily ran to them, tears streaking her dust-covered face. Rex looked up at her, muzzle streaked with blood, and rested his head in her lap. "He turned the battlefield against them," Daniel said, awe in his voice. "He wasn't defending himself," Emily whispered. "He was protecting Noah. And all of us." Daniel pulled a small device from the dead soldier's vest. "A signal jammer." "Guess why they weren't talking to home," he muttered. "They didn't plan on failing." Emily looked toward the horizon. "We need to find out who that woman is." Rex barked once. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "I think Rex already knows." Noah stepped forward, eyes wide. "She called him something once. Not Rex, not Max. She called him Unit 0. Daniel went still. "That's not just a code name. That's designation protocol. He was the prototype." Emily whispered. "Then who created him?" Daniel didn't answer, but Rex turned toward the open desert, body tense, like he remembered something the rest of them hadn't caught up to yet. And somewhere, buried in all this, was the truth. Rex wasn't just their protector. He was the key. Night cloaked the desert in silence. The group had taken shelter in an abandoned ranger station miles from the ambush site. There were no windows, no lights, just concrete walls and cold floors. Rex lay near the door, ears twitching, wounded leg stiff. Emily sat beside him, hand resting gently on his neck. "He saved us all," she said quietly. Daniel loaded a magazine at the table. "And he's still bleeding. That shot wasn't a graze. It was a tracer round." Emily looked up. "You think they're tracking him?" "No," Daniel said, sliding the clip into place. "I think they're marking him. Not to find him, but to isolate him." Noah stirred from where he slept beside the other kids. "She called him Unit 0, he murmured, eyes half-lidded. "Like he was a mistake." Daniel met Emily's gaze. "Or the beginning." He turned to the laptop, booted it up with a secure key. Before James died, he left one last encrypted file. Reagan decrypted most of it before Spectre burned her safe house. But there's one name that came up again and again. He typed quickly. A profile loaded. Dr. Miles Granger, former DARPA neurologist. Deceased. Presumed suicide. Emily read the notes aloud. Granger oversaw early Spectre behavioral design. Head of cognitive imprinting. Daniel nodded. And creator of the S Project prototype. Codename, Rex. Rex lifted his head at the sound of his name. Emily whispered, "He knows." Daniel clicked on the next file. It was a video. Surveillance footage. A lab. Dr. Granger standing beside a young German shepherd, barely a year old. "This is Unit 0, Granger said to someone off camera. "We've created a bond anchor. One child, one handler. When both are threatened, the canine reacts beyond protocol. The connection becomes instinctual." The camera panned to reveal a boy sitting behind bulletproof glass. Emily gasped. It was Noah. But younger, much younger. Daniel paused the video. "This was years ago, before James went rogue, before the files were wiped." Emily's voice trembled. "He wasn't just protecting Noah, he was programmed to." "But something changed," Daniel said, "because Unit 0 went off book. He vanished, and now he's back, protecting you both." Emily stood and crossed to Rex. "You're not a weapon," she said softly. "You're family." Rex pressed his head into her leg. Daniel's phone buzzed. A single message. Unknown sender. It read, "Look north." They stepped outside. The northern sky was lit by a single flare, red and rising. Noah joined them, silent. "That's not a signal for us," Daniel said. "It's for them," Emily finished. Rex was already moving. He bolted from the door, heading toward the signal. Daniel and Emily followed, weapons ready. They reached a clearing near the ridge. A figure stood in the center, hands raised. It was the woman in black. The braid, the eyes, but no weapon. Emily aimed. "Why are you here?" The woman didn't move. "I'm not your enemy." Daniel stepped forward. "You sent killers after us." "No," she said. "That wasn't me. That was Phase 2. Emily frowned. "What's Phase 2? "They've separated," the woman replied. Spectre collapsed into factions. One wants to destroy Rex, the other wants to replicate him. Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Which side are you on?" The woman reached slowly into her jacket, pulled out a flash drive. "James gave this to me before he died. Said if Unit 0 ever surfaced again, you'd need to know the truth." Daniel took the drive. "Why now?" "Because you're not just running anymore," she said. "You're close to the core." Then she turned and walked away. Emily didn't lower her weapon. "Why should we trust her?" Rex didn't growl. Daniel stared at the flash drive. "Because Rex does." Back at the station, they loaded the data. Video logs, internal memos, coordinates, one location repeated over and over. Facility 9, buried in a forest outside Anchorage, Alaska. Emily read the file title. Project Redemption. Daniel leaned back, stunned. They weren't trying to create a killer. They were trying to create something else. "What?" she asked. "A conscience. A guardian." Rex stood. Noah walked to him, placed his hand gently on his neck. "Then let's go finish what my uncle started," he said. Outside, wind swept through the desert again. But Rex didn't look back. His eyes were already facing north. Snow hammered the windshield as they crossed into Alaska. The storm had rolled in fast, swallowing the road and turning the trees into silhouettes. Daniel kept his eyes locked ahead while Emily clutched the passenger side handle, scanning the woods for movement. In the back, Noah slept with his head resting against Rex's side. The German shepherd didn't sleep. He hadn't closed his eyes since they left the lower 48. Facility 9 wasn't on any map. Not even the encrypted files gave precise coordinates, just references to old power grids and Soviet-era bunkers repurposed for Spectre use. They reached a rusted gate buried under snowdrifts. Daniel stopped the car, stepped out, and brushed away the ice from a small panel embedded in the ground. A red light blinked. "No signal," he muttered. Emily joined him. "Can we force it?" "No, but Rex might be able to trigger the override." Rex jumped down from the car, sniffed the panel, then moved with deliberate steps along the fence line. After a pause, he began to dig, snow flying behind him. Seconds later, metal scraped. A second panel, deeper. This one older. Rex poured it twice, then looked up. Daniel knelt. "Manual override confirmed. Jesus, he remembers." With a twist of his multi-tool, Daniel pried the panel open. A grinding sound filled the forest. A section of the snowbank dropped, revealing a narrow tunnel leading straight underground. They moved quickly. Inside, the corridor was pitch black, but Rex led without hesitation, paws silent against the concrete floor. At the first junction, lights flickered on. Motion-triggered LEDs glowing like cold stars. Emily glanced at the walls. "This isn't abandoned." They reached a reinforced door. Daniel swiped the flash drive. It unlocked with a hiss. Beyond the door was a control center, screens still powered, data streaming from long-dead programs. In the center of the room stood a figure, not armed, not startled, waiting. He turned. Old, thin, balding, pale hands tucked into a lab coat. Dr. Miles Granger. Emily froze. "You're dead." Granger smiled softly. "No, Ms. Dawson. Just erased." Daniel stepped in front of her. "You ran the program. You created Rex." "I gave Rex purpose. James gave him a heart." Emily's voice cracked. "You used my son." "I protected him," Granger said. "The others wanted a weapon. I gave them a guardian. And when they tried to end it, James and I buried the core of it all. Here." Noah stepped into the room, Rex right beside him. Granger looked at the boy, his expression shifting to something almost like pride. "And now the bond is complete." Daniel raised his gun. "You're going to explain everything. Start with Phase 2. Granger didn't flinch. "Phase 2 is the corrupted version. They took my work and twisted it. Spectre fractured. Half wanted to kill everything I built. The other half wanted to clone it, strip out the empathy, leave only obedience." Emily stepped forward. "That woman in black. She said Phase 2 was coming. That Rex was the last of his kind." "He is," Granger replied. "And they're on their way here." Daniel turned toward the console. "Can we shut the facility down?" Granger shook his head. "It's not just the power, it's the data. They'll use it to create an army if we let them." Noah stepped beside Rex. "Then we destroy it." Emily looked horrified. "Noah, there's no way we survive that." Rex barked once. Sharp. Decisive. Daniel met Rex's eyes. "He's not staying behind." "He's not asking to," Granger said. "There's another way." He pressed a sequence on the control panel. A new file opened. Blue Veil, Final Protocol. "This triggers a neural cascade," Granger said. "All bonded units linked to the core, Rex included, will receive a signal. It severs control, destroys every clone's cognitive override. It makes them free." Daniel's voice dropped. "But it risks shutting Rex down, too." Granger nodded. "It will either free him or kill him." Emily whispered, "And we're supposed to make that choice?" Granger looked at Rex. "No. He already has." Rex walked forward, sat by the terminal, looked straight at Emily. No fear, no hesitation, just clarity. Daniel reached for the command key. But alarms blared. Outside, the sound of rotors beat through the trees. "They're here," Granger said. "And if they take this facility, there won't be another chance." Emily turned to Rex, tears in her eyes. "I'm not ready to lose you." Rex stood, pressed his forehead gently into her hand, then turned back to the console. Noah stepped forward and pressed the command key. A chime sounded. Blue lights filled the room. Outside, shadows moved across the snow. Rex sat still as the light intensified. Emily knelt beside him, arms wrapped around his neck. Then everything went white. The power surge knocked out every light in the facility. Emily blinked through the darkness, heart pounding, hand still gripping Rex's fur. She couldn't hear anything but her own breathing. Then slowly, the emergency backups flickered on. Red glow filled the control room. Rex didn't move. Noah crouched beside him, face pale. "Is he okay?" Daniel rushed to the console. The screen was cracked, lines flickering, but the program had completed. "Signal delivered. Global cascade initiated. Every connected unit should be disconnected, autonomous." Emily touched Rex's side. His chest rose. He was breathing. "Rex," she whispered. "Can you hear me?" Rex's ear twitched. Then, from above, Gunfire. The tea room shook. A second later, one of the walls exploded inward. Concrete sprayed. Smoke filled the space. Daniel grabbed Noah, pulled him behind a steel desk. Through the debris, the woman with the braid stepped in, flanked by 5 armed soldiers. She wasn't smiling anymore. "You just destroyed $30 million worth of neural infrastructure," she said coldly. "And you think that means you've won?" Emily stepped in front of Rex, gun raised. "You lost the moment you tried to control something meant to protect." The woman raised her hand. One of the soldiers fired. The bullet struck Daniel in the shoulder, sending him back against the wall. Noah screamed. Rex's eyes snapped open. He didn't growl. He didn't bark. He moved, like lightning, straight through the smoke. The first soldier didn't even have time to turn. Rex tore into him, dragging him down. Blood sprayed the wall. Another tried to retreat. Rex launched from the floor, jaws clamping down on the rifle, flipping the man sideways into a steel cabinet. Emily fired, dropping the third. Daniel, one-armed, pulled his sidearm and hit the fourth in the leg. The fifth turned his weapon on Noah. Rex leapt. The two hit the ground hard. Silence followed. Rex stood over the soldier, muzzle wet, but his eyes locked on the woman. She didn't run. She stepped forward. "You were built for more," she said to Rex. "You were supposed to lead them, not disobey." Rex tilted his head, then took one slow step toward her. "No," Emily warned, voice low. "He's not yours." The woman reached into her pocket, pulled out a small device. Daniel shouted, "EMF pulse! Drop it!" She pressed the button. The room shook. The lights died. Rex collapsed mid-step. "No!" Emily dropped beside him, heart racing. Smoke choked the air. The woman vanished through the breach. Daniel tried to stand, blood leaking down his arm. "We need to move." Emily cradled Rex's head in her lap. His body twitched. Then, his eyes opened again. Slower this time. Weaker. But he moved. "He's still with us," she said. Noah was already at the panel near the far wall. "There's an exit route. Emergency evac tunnel. It's marked." They moved fast. Rex limped but refused to be carried. Every few steps, he paused to scan, to check on the rear, always keeping Emily and Noah in front. They emerged into the forest, snow falling thick around them. Behind them, Facility 9 collapsed inward. Smoke and fire billowed into the sky. Daniel collapsed against a tree, breathing hard. "She's not done," Emily nodded. "Neither are we." Noah placed his hand on Rex's back. "You came back for me. Every time." Rex licked his cheek, then sat, exhausted but upright. Daniel pulled a satellite phone from his jacket. "This gets out now," he said. "Files, evidence, the truth about Spectre. The world needs to know." Emily looked down at Rex, then at the forest ahead. No more hiding. As they stood together, wind howling through the trees, a new sound rose in the distance. Sirens. Not military. Police. Backup. Someone had heard. They weren't alone anymore, and this time, Rex wouldn't have to protect the world by himself. The snow had melted by the time the hearings began. Outside the federal courthouse in D.C., cameras swarmed the steps, reporters elbowing for position. The Spectre files, exposed through Daniel's satellite upload, had ignited a national firestorm. Programs once denied even in black-budget audits were now front-page news. Emily stood by the marble column, dressed in plain black slacks and a blazer. She looked composed, but her fingers curled slightly at her side. Not out of fear, out of memory. Rex sat at her heel. A badge hung from his collar. Not military, not police. Just a silver tag with 2 words. Public Guardian. Inside, the committee had just finished questioning Granger. The man had surrendered voluntarily. He never asked for a lawyer, only to be heard. Daniel emerged from the hearing room first, arm in a sling but moving strong. "They're shutting down every ghost division tied to Spectre." Emily nodded. "And the others? The labs, the clones, the AI trainers, it's all being dismantled. What's left of it, anyway?" Rex looked up at them, ears perked. Daniel smirked. "Yeah, you did that." A soft cheer rose from down the steps. A group of kids, elementary school age, holding up hand-painted signs, "Thank you, Rex," and "Our hero." Noah walked out from the building behind them, now flanked by 2 agents from the Department of Child Services. One of them smiled kindly at Emily. "Temporary placement is over. His guardianship is officially transferred." Emily's breath caught. "He's staying?" Noah ran straight to her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "We're not hiding anymore. Uncle James would have wanted this." Rex nuzzled his head into both of them, then turned toward the crowd. The news cameras spotted him. And then the world did too. He didn't flinch. He sat proud, head high, eyes calm. The image of loyalty. Later that evening, back at the small house on the edge of Fairfax County, they sat around the fire pit. Daniel nursed tea while Noah tossed a tennis ball lazily across the yard. Rex darted after it with surprising energy, considering the weeks of recovery he'd been through. Emily watched the firelight dance in Rex's eyes. "Do you think he knows it's over?" Daniel shook his head. "Not over. Just quieter. But he's still watching, always ready," she said. "That's what loyalty looks like." Rex dropped the ball at Noah's feet and lay down beside him, content. The night grew still. No sirens, no choppers, no secrets left to run from. Just a family pieced together by tragedy, held together by trust, and one dog who never stopped fighting for them. In the darkness, Emily whispered, "Sometimes, the ones we rescue end up saving us." And as the fire cracked and the stars blinked awake above, Rex raised his head just enough to watch the tree line, ears alert, not out of fear, but habit. The world had changed, but he was still its silent guardian. If this story moved you, share it with someone who believes in loyalty, courage, and second chances. And if you've ever had a bond with a dog that felt unbreakable, especially a German Shepherd, drop your story in the comments. Subscribe to the German Shepherd channel for more heart-pounding stories, real rescues, and the incredible legacy of the world's most loyal breed. What's your story with a loyal companion? We're listening.